Alleged plot to kidnap and possibly kill Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is as chilling a reminder of how divisive and dangerous political climate has become in America. But we're happy to say she's safe and that she's here with us today. And we want to say welcome, welcome to The View. And we are really happy that you're with us today.
Thank you.
So, Cindy, I'm going to let you take this.
Sure. Governor, welcome. For all of us in public life, we're faced sometimes with things similar to this, but I've never seen anything like this at all. I know how this affects a family. Can you just tell us how you are doing and how your family is doing?
I appreciate the question, and I appreciate all of your family's years of service, and I appreciate the FBI and the Michigan State Police who risked their own lives to keep my family and me safe. This has been a tough year, there's no question, but I do think that a lot of the rhetoric that is more frequently available and being stoked on many platforms is downright dangerous. And I think we saw one example of how that has become a reality. My family and I are safe. We've never feared for our safety because we have the phenomenal Michigan State Police. However, none of us can stand for these kind of actions in this country. And it needs to be a bipartisan call to action to bring the heat down, to get to a place where we're call out domestic terror for what it is. It's Americans who are seeking to hurt or intimidate other Americans, and it will not stand, and none of us can stand for it.
Governor, more than a dozen men were charged with federal and state crimes in connection to the plot, which included kidnapping you before the election from your vacation home. And these men had bought a taser, were planning on buying explosive, and had spied on your home. How close did these men get to actually carrying out their plan?
Well, they were apparently very serious about it and had taken affirmative actions toward doing that. The FBI and the Michigan State Police worked diligently. Fortunately, they foiled the plot, but it's very clear from the affidavits that it wasn't simply to kidnap, it was to put me on a trial of some sort and then possibly execute me. That's the kind of thing that you would expect to hear from a group like ISIS. And that's why when people refer to these groups casually as militias, we have to call it for what it is, and we have to call out domestic terrorism. And in my comments shortly after the plot was revealed, I quoted Ronald Reagan because I know that there are Republicans of goodwill who will stand with me. There certainly are those who use their platforms to stoke and incite and give comfort to these groups, and that is not acceptable. And that's really one of the things I think that is at stake in this election in just 3 weeks. We have a choice between someone who has done just that or someone who's a deeply, human, kind person who reached out, a deeply decent person like Joe Biden.
Governor, there was significant backlash to the COVID-19 restrictions you put in place. In fact, 2 of the men charged with the plot to kidnap you were photographed at one of several large protests to your coronavirus response efforts to try to protect your constituents. Yesterday, the Michigan Supreme Court seems to have ruled that you don't have the power now to impose certain restrictions. Do you think in retrospect that maybe the restrictions were too harsh that you implemented?
No, I wouldn't change a thing. Studies have shown that the actions we took saved thousands of Michigan lives. I sleep at night knowing that what we did have saved people in this state. In fact, our economy is one of the top 10 economic recoveries in the country because we followed science and we took action. The Supreme Court did a lot of mental gymnastics and had a party line vote and invalidated the 1945 law that was the source of a lot of the actions that we took. But the fact of the matter is, they said I did what I could do under the current law that was available to me, and it worked to save lives, and our economy's in a stronger position. Now, all this is precarious. We know that as a nation, had we been following the science and taking action, our economy would be stronger, fewer people would be unemployed, fewer people would be in food lines, fewer people would have been fatalities, and yet, as a nation, we still haven't gotten our arms around it. And that's why I think there's such high stakes for every one of us. COVID-19 is still very present. It is still a very real threat. And we have to have leadership who is going to get it under control and get this economy back up and humming in a way that means there's real opportunity for everyone.
So, so true to form, rather than express concern for your safety or your health, Trump took to Twitter to say that you had done a, quote, terrible job, unquote. As governor, he said you did a terrible job as governor, and that you should have thanked him for federal law enforcement's role in thwarting your kidnapping plot. What's your response?
First, I mean, I'm not surprised. Sadly, I'm not surprised. You know, first and foremost, I started by thanking the law enforcement. That they put themselves on the line to keep us safe. My family and I are incredibly grateful, and that's how I started. Secondly, there's no question that the actions we have taken in Michigan have put us in a stronger position than most other states. Now, this is a moment where leaders can either call out, you know, evil intent and plot like one to unprecedented to take out a sitting governor. Shouldn't matter what side of the aisle that governor sits on. What is at stake here is leadership in America and leadership, our American leadership in the world. It was an opportunity to say, how are you doing? How is your family? We care about you. We might not agree, but we care about you. That would be a deeply decent thing to do. But that's not what happened in this administration. I think it's just a stark reminder of the character and this moment in our nation. In 3 weeks, we're going to decide, are we going to restore integrity and humanity and see the humanity in one another? I hope we are, and that's what I'm working for.